Alright, welcome everyone. This is going to be a quick rundown video on the new Alphas SVTW. Right when I saw this thing coming out, I knew, boom, I have to get it, have to get it, have to get it. So I was going to put in a pre-order in Japan Tackle, but they weren't doing pre-orders. It was like, hey, first come, first serve. So I made sure I kept checking, and then I saw that they had it at Japan Tackle, put it in the cart, and then I also ordered some single hooks. I got my typical trout single hooks that I put, I have videos on that, but good for the fish, and it also helps you come through snags. So I'm going to try to apply that same concept into bass fishing. So I got some 2-aught size. They look like they'll work on square bill crankbaits. And then I got some a little bit smaller ones. These are number 1 size. I got those for jerk baits just to see how if I can work them around cover with getting less snags and also be able to unhook fish easier. Then I also got a JDM minnow, which I always end up ordering 1 or 2 of those whenever I order from Japan Tackle. There's a lot of new features with the. I just find it funny. It's hyperdrive design, the hyperdrive digigear. What was that? The hyper armed housing and the hyper tough clutch, which they use the word hyper a lot. Like the only way I can explain that would be like Ric Flair on pre-workout listening to like Waka Flocka Flames. Like I think that's the only thing I can more hyper than this. But anyway, it's the same size frame as the Alpha's Air TW, which is it's pretty small. It looks kind of like a regular Alphas. I know that some people will argue that the Alphas frame should stay unchanged, to which okay, I'll agree with you, but just they could just change this name to something else, and I'd still get this reel. So it doesn't matter what the name is. But it does have like the cutouts here, kind of reminiscent of the original Alphas. But outside of that, it's a new reel. It feels different. It's a little bit smaller. It does have aluminum gears instead of brass gears. That's going to be a big internal difference. But outside of that, let's get on to some other features. Has an SV spool. That has been having it for a while. It's pretty versatile casting. You do get cut off a little bit on like far distance compared to like the Mag Force Z or say other braking systems. But for most of the fishing that you'd be doing with this reel, you should be able to hit your outer range for your lures like jigs, jerk baits, maybe some Nico rigs or whatever. Nico rigs. I'll see how that goes on this, but I'll be putting 10-pound fluorocarbon on here. I will be using this on my custom K2. I kind of had that as like my all-around medium setup, like throwing jerk baits, shaky heads, Senko, stuff like that. So that's what this is going to be doing. I'm hoping this can do a better job than my the Aldebaran MGL I had. It's pretty good. That was a pretty good reel. I just wanted to try a new reel, so I just figured, hey, I'm going to sell that to try this out. Story of my life. But anyway, some other features. Has the Zion Drag Star. That's on here. It does click. This is pretty standard for your mid to high end Daiwa reels. Comes with the newer knobs that Daiwa's been using. They're like a textured rubber. They're not super sticky, but they're also not really slick either. So pretty good all around knobs. 85 millimeter handle, which I can live with. If it was an 80 millimeter handle, I'd definitely upgrade it. But the 85, it should be fine, especially for how I'm using it. This does come in 8-to-1 gear ratio, and also yeah, that brings in 81 centimeters a turn. So that's not too bad. It's not super fast. It's probably about, if you're used to like other reels, if you have like a 7.7 gear ratio, it's probably going to be about that speed wise, just because this spool is a little bit smaller diameter, which leads me to my next thing. 32 millimeter spool, 32 millimeter spool. So I ordered a Roro BFS spool for this, so I can use this out in the streams with like 3 or 4 pound mono, and then be able to take this out with 10-pound fluorocarbon and bass fishing. Then I read on I think it was TZ Lure, I forgot where I read, after I placed my order on Roro, that this spool is narrower than the traditional air spools. So I'm going to test that out right now as I talk about some other features. It does have the locking lever, which is really nice. I don't like how the older Daiwa reels were set up like this, where you had to take your thumbnail or a coin and like untwist and take the screw out. It's just a lot faster. It just looks cleaner too. I'm gonna take that off. A lot of times my hand would hit the brake up there, and like it's not a big deal, but if your hand hits it pretty good and you don't really notice it, and then you cast and you get a backlash, it makes for a bad day. So I'm gonna take this out. Pretty standard Daiwa bearing in there. Looks like there might be a little bit of grease on there. I'll clean these bearings after I do the test. Like when I test cast, I make sure it's bone stock, take it out of the box. Unless I feel it's dangerously dry, then I will lube up the gears. But outside of that, I like to test them completely stock. And let's see, that's good. So what I just tested there, so with the air and the SV spools, you can twist the inductor. That's kind of how it helps with the erratic casting. I was just feeling for any sort of like roughness or any skipping at all that happens in the brake system, and it feels really smooth, and I can't get it into the stuck position. I know that the original Alphas SV, when you sometimes when you cast it, the inductor gets stuck in an out position, and it would just cause a very heavy braking, and you had to put a different ramp in there, which I'm not going to go into, but it is an upgrade at least for this one. Maybe other ones aren't like that, but it seems like they addressed that issue, which is pretty good. So now I'm going to try to fit this BFS spool in here, which I really hope it does. I hope Google Translate was wrong for me. So it fits in going like this, and okay. So that won't work because this bearing on the SS Air is bigger than on the SV Lite. So I'm going to try to put this spool into the SS Air. Let's see. Okay, fits in that side. Oh, that's a big difference. So that's about 4 millimeter, maybe even more. That's a pretty big gap. You can, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but you can see the inductor still. So that's a really big difference. That's kind of a bummer for me, kind of a letdown. I was hoping that I could swap spools to be able to get some more versatility out of the Alphas SV. I'm not 100% sure if, like, say for the Zillion, if those are plug and play spools, like if they're able to swap with 34 millimeter. Hopefully they do. It looks like they didn't really change the frame too much on that. Yeah, so for me, I'm going to be doing unbox type video. I'm going to get this out in the water and cast with it. I'm also going to break this thing open, and I'm going to see if that drag clicker from the Alphas Air TW that I got from Sigisi Customs, I'm going to see if that fits in this spool too, just to give you guys options if you're kind of on the fence on buying it or not. And honestly, I'm curious for myself. And then what else am I going to do with it? I don't know. I'll just give my overall opinions. I might make a few posts on here and on Instagram as kind of my progress for like my impressions of the reel. And I'm hoping to get around to writing a full review on the tackle tour, like the user forum there. Pretty good, at least for me. I like to have as many resources as I can to be able to purchase a reel. So I'm gonna try to give you an unbiased opinion on this reel. I know that there's a few fence sitters that have been messaging me on Instagram. I've been giving them advice, but I can't really go too in depth because I haven't used the reel yet. So stay tuned for those videos. Also follow me on Instagram, like I said, to help people out. It's kind of the easiest way to get like one-on-one interaction. You can comment down below, which leads me to another thing. If you comment down below what lures you'd like to see me cast with this, I'm going to be casting some jerk baits, some shaky heads, probably some top waters, just kind of all around lures. But if you have any special requests, let me know. If I have that lure, I'll do it. If I have something similar, I'll use that instead. But I do want to help you guys out making a decision. That's kind of why I'm here. So comment down below what you want to see.